Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you're watching the headlines, AI promises this future where everything is faster, smarter, and, just magically efficient.
The message is pretty clear. AI is this unlimited power source just waiting to solve all our problems.
Exactly. But if you've been working with these tools for more than a couple of months, you know that kind of magical thinking is exactly where projects go to die.
It really is. And the material you shared with us, it just cuts straight through that hype. It's a necessary and I think a very detailed reality check on AI's actual limits, its failures, and, well, the ethics of it all.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to try to distill that knowledge, move past the wow factor, and get into the really pragmatic details of how you use these tools wisely.
Yeah, how to avoid the pitfalls that are already costing companies and people a lot of time, a lot of money, and sometimes much, much more.
Okay, so where do we start? To succeed with AI, you have to see the pattern of failure first.
Exactly. The material maps out what they call the AI hype cycle. It's a cycle that explains pretty much perfectly why so many people rush in and then just get frustrated a few months down the line.
We've seen hype cycles before, though, right? Blockchain, the dot-com bubble. What makes this AI hype cycle different?
That's a great question. I think what makes this one unique is the speed and the sheer implication of it. We're not just disrupting a business model here. We're automating fundamental human decision-making.
Okay.
It starts, of course, with what they call the honeymoon phase. The tools seem revolutionary. You're dazzled by these quick wins, generated by highly trained demo models, and it all just feels magical, frictionless. But because these tools work so fast and so confidently, users rush past the essential validation steps. And that's when they hit the inevitable reality check.
And that's where the shine comes off.
Completely. The limits start to emerge, the weird errors, the deeply ingrained biases, and this sudden drop in value the second the AI runs into a new kind of problem.
And if you haven't set up human guardrails at that moment, you hit stage 3.
You land right in the breakup. Users just abandon the tool because the frustration, the constant need to police the AI, it just outweighs whatever benefit they saw at the beginning.
So understanding that cycle, especially that middle reality check phase, that's the key.
It's the essential first step.
Okay, let's unpack that reality check then, starting with what seems to be the most fundamental problem, the one that underpins almost every single AI failure, the data.
Right. The core inconvenient truth here is, it's an old computing phrase, but with a new twist, garbage in, gospel out.
Gospel out, I like that.
Because AI depends entirely on the quality of its training data. So you feed it garbage and you get garbage back. But, and this is the crucial part, it's presented to you in this highly professional, definitive, and very, very confident font.
And we have a perfect, almost chilling example of this right in the research. Tell us about Amazon scrapping their AI hiring tool. It's a textbook case of this.
Oh, absolutely. The goal was admirable, right? Make hiring more efficient. But the tool, which was designed to vet resumes, it just consistently discriminated against women.
And this wasn't because someone programmed it to be sexist?
Not at all. The AI was trained on a decade of the company's own resume data. And that data set was, overwhelmingly dominated by successful male candidates from the past.
So how did the AI translate that historical pattern into active discrimination?
Well, it learned to correlate success with keywords and phrases it found in those male resumes. The research shows the AI started penalizing any resume that had the word women's, as in women's chess club.
Wow.
Or even degrees from women's colleges. It just learned to reflect the historical bias of the company's past, not who is actually most qualified for the future.
That's terrifying. It means the AI isn't finding some objective truth. It's institutionalizing and amplifying existing social problems.
Precisely. We have to remember AI is a prediction engine. It's not a truth seeker. There's a powerful analogy in the source material that sums this up perfectly. Trying to teach AI with biased data is like asking someone to learn geography from a flat earther. The AI will deliver that flawed information with absolute statistical certainty.
And that certainty is what's so dangerous. It moves us from the abstract to the real world, sometimes lethal consequences.
The stakes just couldn't be higher. We go from data bias in a hiring tool to lethal misjudgment in real time. Autonomous vehicles have caused fatal accidents.
Right.
The material points out this huge philosophical friction. You have the tech mantra of move fast and break things, but that just cannot apply when human safety is on the line.
Of course not.
The need for flawless performance is in direct conflict with the reality of imperfect AI.
And then there's the other problem, the one that plagues every single large language model, the confident lie, or what they politely call hallucination.
Yes, hallucinations. It's the creation of fabricated facts, citations, whole scenarios, all presented with complete authoritative certainty. The model isn't guessing, it's just generating statistically plausible text that has zero basis in reality.
And the most memorable example of this, which became a running joke in the legal world, involved lawyers using ChatGPT.
Oh, that was a huge deal. Imagine drafting a legal brief and citing 6 crucial court cases that just don't exist. The AI just invented them, and that led to serious professional consequences, all stemming from that fundamental flaw.
It's amazing. What's also fascinating, though, is how even simple nuance can trip these systems up, this idea of complexity overload.
Right. AI models really struggle with tasks that go beyond the clear, simple patterns they were trained on.
But why does that happen? Why can an AI write a novel but completely fail to understand a simple joke?
Because it's all about statistical probability, not actual meaning, not semantic understanding. It's just predicting the next most likely word.
Okay.
So sarcasm, irony, cultural context, things like knowing the word terrific can sometimes mean terrible. That completely messes with the statistical model. The AI sees terrific and just assumes a positive context. It can't grasp the subversion of meaning that humans use all the time.
That's a powerful point. And if you connect that failure of micro-nuance, not getting a joke, to the macro picture, you start to see the scale of the philosophical warnings about AI.
Absolutely. The material brings in the ultimate context here. Stephen Hawking's famous warning that the development of full AI could either revolutionize civilization or spell the end of the human race. It's the ultimate double-edged sword.
So you have the two sides.
You do. On the one hand, you have the promise. AI's potential to revolutionize medicine, help solve climate change, maybe even eliminate poverty. Truly paradigm-shifting possibilities.
But on the other hand,
You have the peril. The risk of AI evolving beyond our control, beyond our understanding, and eventually surpassing our own intelligence. And the proposed solution to navigate this, it's complex. It requires global cooperation, real ethical oversight, and responsible development protocols set up now, not later.
which brings it all back down to earth, back to the daily reality of using these powerful but flawed tools. We need a practical guideline.
And this is where the 30% AI rule comes in. The material suggests this is the key to safely using AI in our day-to-day work.
The 30% rule. So that's the sweet spot. Tell me about that.
It suggests that effective AI use means the tool contributes about 30% of the work. You know, it handles the tedious stuff, the pattern matching, the raw computation.
And the human provides the other 70%.
The human provides the remaining 70%. It's a total shift in thinking. It's moving from a replacement strategy to an augmentation strategy.
But if companies are spending billions on these systems, why shouldn't they expect 100% replacement? Why spend all that money if you still had to do 70% of the work?
Because that 70% human component is the non-negotiable part. That's the part that defines the problem in the first place, that chooses the right approach, provides the context, handles all the weird edge cases.
And validates the output.
And continuously validates the output. Exactly. AI is the engine that speeds things up, but the human is the driver who navigates and, make sure you're obeying the speed limit.
It's like the analogy you find in the material.
Which one?
The one about AI being like a really enthusiastic, occasionally brilliant intern.
Ah, yes. Eager to help, can pull data, draft an email incredibly fast. But you still need to define the project, review every single piece of work, and watch for mistakes born of inexperience.
Right. Without that human oversight.
You're basically asking a very confident toddler to do your taxes.
And that 70% human oversight, that becomes even more critical when we talk about the ethical challenges, right?
Yes.
The biased loan approvals, the discriminatory justice algorithms.
Yes.
It's the only thing stopping these systems from amplifying inequality.
That is the most crucial point. Because AI is trained on our biased history, it reinforces and amplifies those inequalities. And it does it at machine speed. The scale and the impact are just so much greater and harder to trace than individual human prejudice.
Let's walk through some of those stark examples from the material. They show real-world harm.
For sure. We've seen biased loan approval algorithms that consistently deny minority applicants. It's not explicitly looking at race, but it's correlating things like zip codes with risk.
Denying real economic opportunity.
At scale. And this extends into the justice system. Prediction algorithms have been shown to unfairly target communities of color, which can lead to unequal sentencing recommendations.
And then there's the facial recognition issue.
A huge one. The technology has been widely documented to fail at accurately identifying non-white faces, which creates massive problems for security, law enforcement, and basic rights.
So these are not abstract problems. This is systemic bias being automated and accelerated. But the material does note that there is a fight back.
Absolutely. The leading players know that the future of AI depends on it being fair. Companies like IBM and Microsoft are pouring resources into auditing their AI systems.
How do you do that?
The focus is on rigorous testing to reduce bias and, critically, feeding the AI more diverse and balanced training data. That's really the only way you solve the garbage in problem at its source.
Let's use a specific field to see how this plays out. Software development. The initial hope was that AI would just write perfect code and replace mid-level developers. How did that expectation hold up?
The reality looks very different. Initially, yeah, an AI generates code, and it often looks impressive. It's clean, it's functional, it's fast. That's the 30% contribution.
But then reality sets in.
Then reality sets in. That code needs extensive debugging. It needs to be refactored to fit into a complex existing system. You have to do countless prompt iterations just to get it past basic checks.
So the human labor doesn't go away, it just shifts.
Exactly. You stop being the first draft writer, and you become the editor, the debugger, and the architectural validator.
Okay, so if the human just debugs the AI's draft, what's the long-term flaw there?
Well, beyond just the efficiency question, there's a huge knowledge transfer gap. Senior review is still absolutely required for AI-generated code. But that process, it lacked the mentoring, the collaborative learning that a junior developer needs to actually become a senior. If the AI writes the code, but nobody really understands how it all fits together, that institutional knowledge starts to fade. It's why Mark Zuckerberg's prediction that AI will write mid-level code by 2025 is still so debated by veteran developers. They see the limits.
This brings us full circle then to managing our expectations.
Right.
If we accept AI as a 30% tool that needs 70% human supervision, how do we actually structure that? The research gives us a 4-part evaluation loop.
Right. This is the framework for how you do it responsibly. First, you have to assess suitability. Is AI even the right tool for this task? You have to consider the complexity, the data you have, and the bias risks before you even start.
Step 2.
Define scope. AI is great at specific, well-defined problems with clear patterns. If your problem is ambiguous or creative or needs cultural sensitivity, AI is probably going to fail. You have to narrow the scope.
Third, and this seems important, is evaluate alternatives.
It is. Sometimes traditional coding or bitter data management or just good old human judgment works better. It's cheaper. You shouldn't force an AI solution onto a problem it wasn't built for just because it's new.
And finally,
iterate and improve. This is the 70%. You have to continuously monitor the results, adjust your approach, and be willing to learn from the inevitable failures. This is not a set it and forget it technology.
so pulling all of this together, what's the big takeaway here?
I think the message is crystal clear. AI is incredibly powerful, but it is deeply, deeply imperfect. And its imperfections are just our own human biases in the data amplified. Misuse and unrealistic expectations cause real harm.
So responsible use requires actually understanding the tool.
Understanding its limits, its biases, and its risks is not optional. It is absolutely essential.
So the core principle we're taking away from this deep dive is augment, don't replace. We need to harness AI as a tool to amplify human creativity and judgment, not as some magic wand that does our thinking for us.
Treat it like the tool it is, not the oracle it pretends to be.
And to leave you with one final thought to anchor all this, AI really is like that enthusiastic intern we talked about. It's eager to help, sometimes it's brilliant, but it definitely needs constant supervision from a human expert to validate every single thing it produces.
And that supervision is where your focus needs to be. So given the necessity of constant monitoring and knowing that your 70% human input is what corrects for the bias, here's the question for you to think about before you adopt any new AI tools. What systems and what specialized human knowledge do you need to put in place right now proactively to make sure your team can actually detect, correct, and validate the output for those inherent biases and factual errors? Because that knowledge gap, that's your biggest risk.